You've just had a wet dream and are probably quite worried as to what this means and whether or not this is a relapse. Now, I felt the exact same when I first felt my first wet dream, but in this video, I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't be worried and why you should really see this as more of a good thing. I'm going to go over how you can kind of stop the wet dreams, but mainly what this means in the future. So, it first started when I was making a bit of progress and I broke the cycle. I started to build up a streak on NoFap. And one night, I had a very, very intense sexual dream. Can't really remember it, but it was, I think, something to do with porn or something, or jacking off, or it was something like porn video. It was like playing in my brain. Completely made it up on the spot. It wasn't one that I'd seen years ago. It was just one that my brain made up, and I woke up in the morning and I had a mess in my pants. I was like, "What the fuck?" So I freaked out. I went on social media, and it didn't really help. But what I learned was wet dreams do affect you like if you relapsed. Now, there are different versions of wet dreams. So you have the wet dreams where in the night you're actually jerking off, like you're unconsciously jerking off. That is a little bit more of a problem. I don't know how to fix that, but I can always have a look, and by all means, you can have a look as well. But the one I'm really going to be talking about is these two, which is the wet dream where you just ejaculate during the night. You didn't have any sexual dream to go with it. And this is usually the wet dream that only really affects you for like a day. So you had no sexual dream and then you woke up and your pants were wet because you come, obviously. But this is not as bad as if you had a dream, but it still will set you back. Well, not set you back, but it will affect your libido, your energy, and your aura. So then you have the sexual dream where you have a quite intense sexual dream, and then you came, and this is the one that I always have. I always tend to have a dream with my wet dream, hence the name. I tend to always have a dream, a sexual dream with it. Usually it's like some porn, but I've had times where it's like where I'm with a girl, maybe one of my girls in the dream, and then we know what happens. But the problem is these all do affect you, and it can be very annoying, frustrating, and even a bit overwhelming. So you have to be able to kind of really understand what this means and move on from it, move forward. Now, before we get further into the video, make sure to check the NoFap course. If you want to start progressing properly on NoFap, now I understand that maybe if you're already at the wet dream section, then you might actually be making a bit of progress, but there's a lot of tricks that I use to actually help me overcome NoFap because I was still getting wet dreams at the very beginning of my breaking my streaks. I still had wet dreams months before I started to really understand NoFap and before I actually completely broke the cycle. So by all means, go check out the NoFap course. I can tell you how good it is, or I can just direct you towards it. I have all the tips and tricks that essentially make you fast track NoFap and fast track the struggle. You don't have to go through the struggle to learn what you're going to learn in the course. Now, wet dreams are not a relapse. By no means are a relapse. A relapse is when you're trying to quit a habit and you consciously decide to make a decision to relapse, to do that habit that you're trying to quit. That is a relapse. If you're trying to quit smoking and you consciously decide to quit smoking, then you quit smoking. But if you're sleepwalking and in the middle of the night you light a fag and you smoke it, well, it wasn't really you that did it, it was your subconscious that did it. It's the same with jerking off. If you jerked off in the middle of the day, you were fully conscious and you decided to make the decision to watch that Sophie Rain video, then that's on you. But if you were in the middle of the night, you were thinking of jerking off or whatever, you were thinking that you were dreaming about that, and then you ejaculated, well, that's not you. That's your subconscious not making the decision. It's your subconscious doing it. It has nothing to do with you. So a wet dream is not a relapse. And the reason why you're getting this wet dream is completely down to the fact your body is compensating for the increase of semen, the increase of cum in you, because you've not been jacking off up to 5 times a day. Now you don't jack off anymore, and you're just building up semen. So that means that you're gonna have too much. So well, not too much, but your body is used to giving out a certain amount. So naturally, your body's just gonna think, well, you're not doing it, so we're just gonna do it for you, and that's why you get the wet dream, because your body decides that when you're subconscious, they're just gonna do it for you, and it's gonna take a while for your body to adjust. Now, one thing I was recommended was to jerk off now and again to ease your body into it. Personally, I have too much aura and too much self pride to do that. So it's your decision. I wouldn't really recommend it because there's a good chance that maybe you're 2 months out of NoFap, or even a month out of NoFap, or maybe 2 weeks out of NoFap, and now you're being told to do it again. You're obviously going to start jerking off normally again, and you're going to fall back into the cycle. So I wouldn't really recommend it. If you're like 5 months in NoFap, then maybe do it. But there's a good chance you're going to end up turning it into a habit again, and you're just going to keep jerking off, because there's so many people that have started to do it again, like monthly, to do it for health reasons, and they end up turning it into a habit again. So I wouldn't really recommend it, but you can do that. But the other thing you can do is just accept it. Accept that you're going to have wet dreams for a while. Some people only have it once or twice. Some people have it like 6 times. I've had it probably about 5 times, so a little bit more. I may never have one again, I don't know, but I probably will, because some people just have them more, some people have them less. It's just completely down to what your body decides. So you can't really do much about it. It's just your body trying to compensate for a lack of release, a lack of orgasm. So you're just gonna have to get used to that. And the way I look at it is, that is the consequences of my past actions. That is what I deserve. I deserve to be going through this right now because I've conditioned myself to naturally want to release. That's on me. That's my problem. That's the consequences of my actions. So I just gotta move on. That's all you can do, really. So yeah, they'll happen a few times. There's not much you can do about it. But the one thing you need to do is be careful. Be careful during these periods, especially the first week after a wet dream, because you're susceptible to repeating past mistakes. One of the reasons why I fell back into the bad cycle of bad habits, not jerking off, I haven't jerked off in a long time, but the reason why I started falling into bad habits was because I had a wet dream. My brain was a bit stimulated and wants more stimulation. So I keep chasing little highs and they set me back. So be careful of that. But also be careful of relapsing again. Because 10 minutes ago or 20 minutes ago, I don't know how long I've been recording, but before this video, I had a high level of lust and I was actually thinking about relapsing heavily. But that's because I had a wet dream 5 days ago. So I'm not past that first week. So you have to be careful. And you're gonna get these. You're gonna get a lot of urges. I have a lot of urges to go and do degenerate habits. Go out and do degenerate things with girls I'm dating. But then I kind of think again. Then I think, well, if I go out and bang this chick, then what's the benefit of that? What's the benefit? Okay, I banged her. Okay, okay. It's like, oh, okay, and I'd rather just get on with work because it makes you a lot more thirsty. Thirsty, let's say. Having a wet dream makes you more thirsty to release and to be comfortable and to be lazy. So be careful of that and keep an eye on that. That's something that you need to do. Now I can make another video on tips and tricks to do after a wet dream. If you'd like to see that, then comment that down below. If you have any like problems or suggestions of topics you want me to go over, comment them down below. By all means, I'm here to help you guys out. So make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed and have a good day.